Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our Express Builders webinar preview for our Express Builders Connection Huddle that we're going to be starting this Friday and next Friday. And really happy for you to join us, and we're going to jump right in. So today we're going to just take a few minutes to get to know each other, have you introduce yourself in the chat, tell us a little bit about yourself. And then we'll go through a bit about what BG5 is and give you an intro to BG5 if you don't know what it is. And then also talk a little bit about who we are as BG5 Solutions and what it is we do. And then we'll have a look at a preview of what we're going to be getting together with Express Builders in our huddle sessions on Friday, just to give you a taste of what that's like, of what to expect. Some of the things we'll be looking at is kind of the nature of Express Builders, and then look at some myths that we are finding that we're hearing around in the web space as human design becomes more popular and people talk about manifesting generators, what we call Express Builders, and some of the things that people assume they are about. And we're finding when we actually talk to Express Builders, that's actually not actually what shows up for them. So that's part of what the huddle sessions are about, is to allow Express Builders to really share their own experiences and look at the deeper nuances of how being an Express Builder really shows up in real life. And then we'd love to invite you to join us in our huddle session. Looking forward to diving deeper. While we're getting started here, if you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, just tell us your name and where you're from. And what's just one burning question you have about your work life as an Express Builder, and maybe why is that important to you at this point in your life? And while you're doing that, first, if you haven't already got your free chart to find out whether you're an Express Builder or not, you can get that at the link listed here, bg5businessinstitute.com. If you go to this link, you'll be able to put in your birth information and then download your free chart. And that will also give you this graph and some details that we can look at later. And Valerie, because you're the only one here, we can actually just ask you to share out loud. That's a great idea, Chris. So would you like to tell us a bit about yourself, Valerie, and what brought you here today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Valerie Duro, and of course I am an Express Builder. I am located in Roseville, California. A burning question around my work life as an Express Builder. I'll say I don't have a burning question at the moment. But why is that important to you at this point in life? I would just say overall, in general, just I really like the idea of having this sort of discussion and a deeper dive into not only this career type, but I think what you're doing with all of them in general is just so important, because as you said, there are so many nuances to it, not just within the career types themselves, but all the, of course, other factors that come into play with someone's design. But just even with Express Builders in general, there's so many different ways that someone may experience that. And I think sometimes when we just read what an Express Builder is and how that plays out, just as you said, sometimes we realize, well, I don't know if that really fits me, or maybe I don't know how I experienced that, or do I even experience that within myself? It raises a lot of questions for some people, or things that they feel maybe don't resonate, but they haven't dove deep enough into it to realize that maybe it truly does. And so I think having this type of platform is really great for that.
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks, Valerie. We were so hoping to hear that. That's how we felt too as we started talking about it. And the chats that Chris and Stacy and I have had, we just have uncovered some really amazing things. And I don't know if Chris or Stacy, if you have anything you wanted to say at this point.
I think, Valerie, you definitely have hit a nerve that is needed in this work. So that's again, just like Shelley said, it's one of the key reasons we put this together is to really serve express builders who are confused about putting their express builder nature into practice and also sharing wisdom from people who have more experience to make it easier for those with less experience to kind of fast forward their express builder nature in a way that honors and serves them. That's what I would say.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Anything for you, Stacy?
Yeah, I just exactly what you were talking about is what we hope to do here. It's one thing to learn the information, and it's a different thing to live the information. And so to support people in living the information and taking away that question of, if you're seeing, in other places, people talk about this is what an express builder is. And if you're not connecting or resonating with that, being able to get that question answered of, well, does it mean that I've misunderstood something? I'm not doing something right in my experiment? Or is this my nuance based on everything else in my design that comes after type? So I'm really excited with what we've put together because I think we're on the right track here.
Yes, awesome. Thanks, Stacy. Thanks, all of you. And thanks for sharing, Valerie. That's really helpful and encouraging. So we'll move on. So we wanted to just introduce ourselves too for people who might not know who we are. I'm Shelley Finnerty, and I've been taking the BG5 training for about 6 years now, and in that my experiment with it. And I actually, the thing that drew me to doing these types of sessions were that was just what everybody else is saying. I feel like I'm stumbling a little bit here, but the essence is that we recognize that within each type, there's a lot more depth to everybody, and everyone's individual design is so unique. We did run a pilot project on this with some initiators, a group of initiators, and we were amazed at the information that was drawn out and how much more insight each initiator got about themselves by hearing from other initiators and how it works for them. So that was really encouraging and encouraged us to carry on and provide this for each of the types. So this is our first one. We started with express builders, and I really connect with express builders because I spent my life, even though I'm a classic builder, I actually thought I was an express builder most of my life. I was quite shocked when I found BG5 and did my chart. I thought it was wrong. No, there's no way. I'm an express builder. But after the shock of that wore off, I kind of felt this huge sense of relief because I realized how much of my life I had spent trying to be an express builder because I was surrounded by them and in a really fast-paced career life that ran much like an express builder. So when I realized how much energy I was forcing myself and pressuring myself to go fast, when I found out that I'm a classic builder, I'm meant to take my time, and I'm also emotionally defined. So I actually need more time to process things. When I gave myself that permission to do that, everything changed and life started unfolding in a much more comfortable, natural way. And I've said to people recently, this is the most relaxed I've ever been in my life. I've just been able to settle in and allow myself to be me and not try to be somebody else or do it the way other people are doing it. So I think that's the greatest gift we have to give people with this information is to give them permission to just be themselves. And with that, I'll pass it over to Stacy and let her talk a bit about her journey with BG5 as well.
Yes, hi, I'm Stacy Rowan. I am a messenger authority, and I have the strength of charisma, making me a pure express builder. So I started out life, though, as a chemical engineer working in corporate, and while I loved the work because it was a lot of problem solving, which shows up in my design, I didn't like how business treated humans. And I didn't like the idea that to be successful, I had to be like everyone else. So I had a lot of discomfort and friction in my career. And when I found BG5 many, many years later, so many of my questions were answered. And it was just amazing to learn that I wasn't supposed to emulate others to be successful, but that I just got to be uniquely me. And like Shelley, that created so much more calm in my life and in my body. And so I love this work, and I love helping others find and live their uniqueness as well.
Thanks, Stacy. And Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Montoya. I've been called a career Sherpa and a facilitation ninja from clients in the past. So I like to introduce myself that way. I am an express builder. I'm not a pure express builder, but I am an express builder. And my career role is that of the leader natural. And so in my life, before I came to BG5, one of the key ways that I used to believe was like, I have to be an initiator. Like, I didn't know the word, but I thought, oh, I got to get things started. I got to get out there. I got to do it. And it never worked. It would always fizzle. And it made me feel really bad about myself and my nature. So bad that I tried to do a network marketing thing where I thought, oh, I could go and sell these products and, and commission people to work for me. I ended up homeless at that point because I had no experience. I wasn't an initiator. I'm not here to initiate. I'm here to respond. So this excites me because one of the things that we'll talk about later is about initiating. And so when I came to BG5 and I learned that my strengths were in response, it changed everything for me. And as you can see, I have a lot of small business, local government, and corporate experience, a lot of HR, recruitment, and training background. But really, for me, the other thing that really kind of, was a shift in my perspective that BG5 gave me was seeing all my career strengths and how I could use those in service to other people. And so and I didn't even know this until now, but Stacy and I have two in common. What's really amazing is that I can actually, just like Shelley was saying, in the right speed and the right pacing, I can help my clients. And my work and my heart is in human resources and human resource recruitment. So this is really where I love to focus with clients, as well as helping them figure out their brilliance and applying it in work that they love to do. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thanks so much, both of you, Stacy and Chris. It's been such an incredible journey to working with the both of you to pull this information together. And it's been a real example for us all about how we work well together, how each of us have our own individual strengths that we add to the process. And we've had just a great experience with that, pulling this presentation together. So for those of you who don't know a lot about BG5, we'll chat a little bit about that right now. So what is it and how can it help you? Why is it important? So BG5 is the career and business application of the human design system, which is becoming quite popular right now. And there's a lot of people out there talking about human design for business. And it's what most of them are talking about is what's based on human design. And they are kind of extrapolating and maybe applying some of the human design principles, but BG5 consultant program gives us some extra tools that we'll talk about later that aren't in the human design system. So, so it's very different from the personal application of human design. This is really focused on specifically looking at the most basic and fundamental issue that we all have, and that is how to be successfully materially in our job, career, or business. And meaning, how are we designed to make money? How do we fulfill our purpose? What gifts get called out of us in large groups or small groups or even partnerships? What environment do we work best in? And how do we work best with others? What makes a partnership successful, and how can we create effective teamwork? And as I was mentioning, we had a really great experience with this effective teamwork, kind of allowing each of us to be ourselves and contribute what we each felt needed to be contributed to this presentation. And it was amazing how it all just came together, each of us doing the part that we really enjoyed. So there's two aspects to BG5. One is about knowing yourself. So it's about knowing how your own energy works and how to make correct decisions for you that you can trust, that you're doing what's best for you. And then also being aware of and knowing how your skills get pulled out of you in different settings, whether you're with just one other person or whether you're working in a small group or a large group, because those dynamics change everything. And that's the second piece to BG5 is knowing how we work together. So really BG5 consultants are here to help people understand the mechanics that exist when people come together, the partnerships and group dynamics. So how working with others can either challenge you or make things easier, and challenge you sometimes in a great way, to challenge you to get better. And other times it's really challenging and slows things down. But we can see those dynamics in the reports that we have. This is also about being aware of how we get homogenized in a group setting. It's something we can't escape that, but we can build some awareness about how it affects us so that we can choose what's best for us and that we can work in an optimal way when we're working with others. So this is ultimately what BG5 is really focused on. So BG5 is really for making work better for the individual. It's about being able to know yourself and understand others, and making work better for everybody and more humane, business more humane and focused on the individual, as we are moving into a time where the focus is really shifting to individuals and what does each individual want for themselves. This is about creating teams of people who can work well together to achieve that optimal satisfaction and success. And it's about everybody being able to survive and thrive and succeed by working collaboratively together. So that is the goal of BG5 Consulting, is to be able to help everybody, as Chris and Stacy both mentioned, being really focused on the human side of HR, putting the human back in HR, and putting the focus on each individual person in an organization, and pulling the best out of each individual and the most optimal working arrangement for everybody working in different size teams. So operating requires that we work together. So we know that none of us are an island. It doesn't work very well when we isolate ourselves completely and try to do everything all on our own. It's just almost impossible. We do need each other, and BG5 helps us understand how we can work together better. BG5 is not directly connected with what we call the spiritual awakening domain. This is a quote from Ra, the founder of human design, and in the end stages of his life, he started the BG5 material and pulled it all together. And ultimately, it was for people that wanted to focus on just improving the bottom line of business. This is about the material capacity, the material potential is something that needs to be understood very deeply in the design of a human being in order to be able to give them the tools that they'll need to be able to operate correctly in this future we're moving towards, to be able to bring the material resources they're going to need in their lives. Because we are in the midst of a big era shift that was focused on control and systems and planning, to being more focused on the individual. So part of the way things have been done in the past has been very homogenizing. We've been in an era where everything was based on the institutions that we've built. These were necessary to get humanity up and running and organized and running smoothly. And in the past, it's been at the we've had to sacrifice ourselves for the good of the tribe, put it that way. And in that process, we've been homogenized by these big systems. The homogenizing is really that we've been conditioned. So we might hear this term. So I wanted to just touch on what is conditioning. It's part of this series is about looking at, are we following our own design, or are we following our conditioning? And this can be hard to unwrap at first if you're just new to this information. It's like you start to become aware that you have a design and there's some things that have been going on in your life that maybe have stopped you from fully living as yourself. And most of that is what we call conditioning. So what is conditioning? We all get conditioned in life. It's natural. We're meant to be conditioned. We get conditioned through training, through education, through people teaching us how to do things, by sharing our skills and things together. But we also get conditioned through advertising and marketing, and often people aren't aware that they're being conditioned. It's a very unaware process, and what we're doing is bringing it into people's awareness that we're being conditioned constantly all the time. It also happens when we're socializing with others or interacting with others. We all impact each other. We all influence each other. And this happens through our connections, through our friends and family, just through society in general. Our institutions like education, government, healthcare, and religion was the other one I thought of that I didn't put on the list here, but that's also anytime we're being trained in any modality, we're being conditioned. And how does this happen? Well, we are social creatures. We're designed to connect with others. And you can see this in the openness in our design, in these white areas, anything that's open, whether it is the main functions you see or the white lines you see. These areas are all areas where we are open to connect with others. This is also the areas where we are meant to learn things. We're open on purpose so that we can connect with others and learn and be trained and be conditioned. It's really important to know whether your actions are correct for you based on you living your design, or whether or not you're acting out of your conditioning. And it isn't a bad thing to act out of conditioning. It's just something to be aware of and to recognize whether or not that conditioning serves you or not. We all get conditioned in many ways, and some of it is just not helpful or useful for us. It's about being able to be aware of and look at those things and let go of the things that no longer serve us, while retaining the conditioning that we've received that's been helpful and has helped us in our life. And as Ross said, it's not about eliminating conditioning. It's about eliminating the ignorance of the conditioning. This is a process that happens unconsciously for all of us. And it's really about bringing it into our conscious awareness that, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing this because that's how I was trained as a young child. Is this still true? Do I still need this? Can I let this go? And so there's a process once you start to know who you are and understand your design and start living your design, that you naturally start to decondition. You naturally start to let go of things that no longer are in alignment with you. So today's preview is brought to you by BG5 Solutions. I wanted to just tell you a little bit about who we are and where we fit into this career and business environment. We are a group of BG5 consultants. We've all taken training through the BG5 Business Institute and are certified. And our goal is to take this system out into the business world. We really can offer some really great practical solutions for applying these BG5 principles to individuals who are looking for more satisfaction or success in their careers, just by learning who they are and having permission to be themselves and finding the work that satisfies them. For entrepreneurs who want to know how to market themselves in a way that feels natural and maximizes their material potential. For business partners who need to know how to work best together so each partner feels fulfilled and is using their own natural strengths. For small business leaders who want to maximize the effectiveness of their team by understanding the hidden dynamics. For leaders of large organizations who want to maximize their whole organization and understand how their different teams and their leaders in their organization work. And ultimately, in each of these situations, it starts with the individual understanding themselves, and everything else are deeper and deeper layers we can go to help tweak things in an organization to make things much more fulfilling and satisfying for everyone, and ultimately improve the bottom line. So we offer these services through personal and group coaching. This is one of our first group coaching sessions we're putting together. We can also do business and group consulting, so pulling groups and teams together within a large organization and doing group sessions like this. We also provide team analysis and large group analysis. And ultimately, it's so that everyone is empowered to find a career that allows them to experience personal and financial fulfillment by contributing their unique gifts. And so that every business can understand how each team member fits into their organization and naturally benefits the team, allowing teams and organizations to function at their maximum potential. Ultimately, so we can all learn how to work more effectively together in these changing times. So we're really excited to be pulling together to bringing consultants together to work together in teams. We are a living example of how this works in real life as we come together to work on projects together and to work with clients. So I'm going to turn it over to Stacy now, though, and let her talk about the upcoming Express Builder Connection Huddle. Stacy, we'll put the next slide on so you know what's coming.
Yes. So I think as Shelley mentioned, we're going to actually there's going to be a whole series of connection huddles that BG5 Solutions puts on. And it really is the opportunity to gather with others who are your same design type. Because of course, normally when we're out in public and in our workplaces, we're, with all different people of all different design types. So this is an opportunity to be in a room with the same design type and share real life experiences about what it's like to live the full expression of yourself and to be able to start to embrace the nuances of how your type presents for you. So the first one that we're doing is the Express Builder Huddle. That's going to be this Friday. It's a 2-session conversation. It's Friday, February 16th and Friday the 23rd from 9 to noon Pacific. We're going to meet on Zoom just like we are here through the portal. And there's an early bird pricing, which is available through midnight tonight if you want to be part of that program. And at the end, we'll show you how to sign up if you're interested in that and give you all the steps. Now, coming up after the Express Builder Huddle, there will be huddles for all the different types. So if you want to be notified, if you're not an Express Builder and you want to be notified of when your huddle is coming up, be sure to follow BG5 Solutions, sign up for mailing lists, follow all the socials, and it'll be announced there.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
So the energetic mechanics is the basics of work success. So in order for everyone to feel career success and satisfaction and to achieve the material potential, you need to be operating in alignment with your design. But even if you're a consultant or if you've been studying it for a long time, whether with others or on your own, it can be difficult to apply the information to understand how to really live your design and to, have the confidence that you're living in alignment. So the purpose of the huddles is that when you share with others of your type, so in this case, when you share with other Express Builders, it can help you feel more confident in your unique expression, and it can illustrate that there are many ways to live correctly as an Express Builder. So all Express Builders don't need to be the same, and we're going to talk about that later in this preview today. Oh, got another one in the so what are we going to cover when we get together in the huddle? And again, we're going to dive deeper into this as we go on today in the preview, but some of the things that we're going to cover is we will go over the key qualities of what makes an Express Builder an Express Builder, how the responsive energy of the builder works, the pitfalls and traps of being an Express Builder, and the potent decision-making process for Express Builders and what the 2 different decision-making strategies are. The great thing I think about what we're doing here is that not only are we going to cover the information, but each section is going to include a chance to connect and share. So we are going to break into smaller groups, smaller environments to share our own experiences and to really hear these examples of how these things show up in real life with other Express Builders. So the sharing and coaching component is where we can really go deep and really see where our similarities are and where our differences are. And I think that's the most exciting part about it.
Yes, thanks. And Chris, I'll turn it over to you. No, thanks, Stacy.
So yeah, thank you. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Express Builders themselves, because we're all Express Builders except for Shelley here. But Shelley, I really appreciate you helping us with this, because in order for us to see ourselves clearly, sometimes we need contrast. And I think that this is really a good introduction into understanding the uniqueness of builders, but also the differences, which is where we're going to go next. So the nature of Express Builders. So are we builders or are we initiators? That's the key question. And so I want you to really think about this. Is an Express Builder just a builder and only a builder? There's a lot of controversy out there in the online space. There are people who say, yes, you're just a builder. Don't worry about the Express part. It's just an add-on. And there are other people who say, no, it's a different type altogether. But who's right? So this is what we're going to explore today. So I want to start with raw, and we're going to use some language here from human design, and there's a little translation key on the left under his photo. When we talk about the pure generator, we're talking about a classic builder in BG5 career design language. The manifesting generator is the express builder. The sacral center is the energy resource function. And the throat center is the communication and action function. If you don't really know what this is yet, don't worry. We'll explain it as we go. But we'll start here with this quote from Ra that says, when the sacral center or the energy resource function is really defined in someone's chart, the person is either a pure generator or a manifesting generator, which is a classic builder or an express builder. What distinguishes them is that a pure generator has a defined sacral center without a motor or energy connected directly to the throat. And the manifesting generator does have a defined sacral with a motor directly connected to the throat. Now, he says that the manifesting generator is not a separate type, but rather a variation of the generator type, with a subtle distinction that lies in its auric frequency. Interesting. It's a subtle distinction, and yet that auric frequency is just a little bit different. So manifesting generators are generators by type and are designed to follow the generator strategy to respond. So what he's really saying here is that classic builders and express builders are all builders. They're here to respond, and yet there is a variation. And what we're going to be looking at next is, well, how do those variations kind of come into play out? And so the first thing I want you to see here on this slide is that how are builders different from express builders? Well, the classic builder doesn't have direct and consistent energy to the communication and action function. It does have the energy resource defined. Now, the express builder does also have that energy resource defined, but it does, through various circuitry or pathways, it does connect directly to the throat. And that changes the dynamic between builders and express builders. So there are 4 typical variations of builder energy that make up a builder and how each builder is unique. So at the fundamental level, there is the classic builder. It does not have the direct energy resource connected to the throat. So there is no consistent energy to the throat or to the communication and action function. Now we do have express builders who do have a direct energy source to the throat. It's just not the energy resource. So you can see here in this diagram, the energy resource is connected in many ways, but it's not directly connected to the throat. There are other strengths that create energy to the throat. Now, the third way is an express builder with indirect energy resource to the throat. So you can see all these various meandering paths that go straight up to the throat. None of them actually are manifesting directly strengths. So they are all either builder strengths or advisor strengths, but there are no manifesting strengths that are direct. And then we get the pure express builder. This is the direct energy resource to the throat. This is what creates the pure express builder that has the motor directly connected to the throat. So you can see that there are 4 variations of builder's energy. And while we're not going to go into all of that today, it's just really good to be aware that just because we're each builders doesn't mean we express the energy in the same way. Okay? So there are also 2 flavors of express builders decision making. And you can see the contrast here between myself on the left and Stacy on the right. I'm a responsive express builder. I do not have the emotional intelligence function defined, nor do I have any traits that come off of that function at all. So for me, I'm not going to be making emotionally based decisions. I'm going to be using my pure responsive decision making. Whereas we look at Stacy, Stacy does have the emotional intelligence function defined. And because of that, she's going to actually be making decisions on a different strategy. It's not going to be completely responsive in the moment. There's going to be more consideration for her in her decision making. So you can see already 2 additional layers or 2 flavors of how express builders differ. So what does this mean for the express builder? Well, not all people are the same and not all builders are the same. Ta-da! Also, express builders are like siblings to classic builders. So we think about siblings having same similarities, and yet they're different, but they are from the same family. So it's just like Ross said, there are similarities and differences, but they are siblings. They are from the same family. Now, there are 4 kinds of builders by basic circuitry, as we've already seen, and each of them have 2 decision-making strategies. This makes 2 unique kinds of classic builders and 6 unique kinds of express builders. Having 8 kinds of builders doesn't mean that they're different types. They are all variations of builders. So it's sort of like we are all in the same company, if you will, even though we can express ourselves very differently. So as an express builder, understanding really what makes your design different and similar to those of your team can really help you use your career design to not only improve personal action taking, but also your team communications as you're building your business or growing your teams, and having strengths-based work because we're giving people the work that they're designed to do and do well in their energy flow. And that creates a work loyalty from the top down and the bottom up. So people can find their natural flow at work. This is true strengths-based leadership at work. So this is really the key. So with these variations in express builders, it's important to be in connection with each other to explore similarities and differences in our career design and in real life work. This builds strong decision-making muscles. So the Express Builder Huddle provides this connection.
Wow, thanks, Chris. And man, just looking at all those different variations, those are some of the things that as we started putting this together and started discussing those, that we realized how different everybody is and how everyone expresses differently. And it was also what we saw in the initiators test pilot that we did for this was once we started diving into all of those unique traits, we got a really great flavor of how it is really different for each type of or each individual person and how their unique type shows up. So thanks. I'm really excited about being able to dive into this in our connection huddle. And I'm going to turn it over to Stacy now to have a look at some of these the myths that we've been seeing out in the world while people are exploring the human design side of things. Stacy.
Yes, I love this part because one of the things is when I first came to design, one of these myths I heard repeated over and over again, and it didn't resonate with me. And I could have very easily turned my back on my design and never learned about it. And so I feel this is kind of my soapbox a little bit about how to, I want to make sure people know, um, know what the truth is. So the first myth is that all express builders are energizer bunnies, because of course people always speak to the energy of an express builder. So, but the truth is that with this myth that we're not all the same. And Shelley, can we go to the next?
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So all express builders don't have the same energy level. They don't have the same amount of, how busy they are. When we say that all of them are energizer bunnies, we're assuming that there's just one level of energy for everyone, but it does, the other definition that you have in your design comes into play. And additionally, and this was actually the myth that could have really sent me off of design, is that I found in talking to express builders with the strength of charisma that we often have an on-off nature to our energy. And I love this quote from Ra about the 2034, which is the strength of charisma. And this idea that if you compare it to a lion who's out there trying to take care of the pride, we are meant to take action in response. And you don't see lions running around on an empty savanna when there's nothing to hunt. If it's empty, if the prey is not, the herd hasn't wandered into its view, the lion is resting. And so it's a fallacy that express builders are supposed to be meant 100% of the time, meant to be busy 100% of the time. And in fact, our energy is meant to be used in physical, when we have a physical response, meaning when we get a response from our body, not when we get a response from our mind. And a lot of express builders are busy based on what their mind is telling them or other people are telling them they should do. So that's the first one. So let's talk about myth number 2. This is another myth that we hear a lot is that express builders are just like classic builders, only faster, right? And so in this case, we're talking more about, we'll use the bunny analogy again. We're talking more about the turtle and the hare, right? So that the express or classic builders are, more of the turtle, and the express builders are, the hare, which is faster. But again, this is assuming that all builders operate at a singular speed and all express builders operate at a singular speed, and that there is this perception of a range of quickness from classic builders to express builders, but it's neglecting all the beautiful nuances that we're going to talk about in this connection huddle. And how does that have to play with the other nuances of your design, things like emotional definition, things like assimilation style, and how does that show up for you both in the amount of energy you have and in how quickly your energy is responsive. So again, this is fast and slow are very limiting. It's a very limiting way to look at people, and it's taking all of the depth and the magic, so much of the depth and magic out of BG5, out of knowing your design, when we just shorthand it as classic builders are slower and express builders are faster. Okay, myth number 3. All express builders they're just a mix of the builder and initiator. It's just a mix. You don't need to know the details of it. But as Chris was just talking about, that it's more than that. There are these nuances, both there's nuances in ways which express builders are defined, and they are not initiators. So despite having the similar type of energy connected to the communication and action function, and also maybe in some cases having the same initiator strengths, those which are highlighted in red above, the mechanics are completely different. And express builders can easily fall in the initiator trap. And when we think of them as just a combination of builders and initiators, it's much easier to fall in that trap. We're going to be talking about that initiator trap, what it is, and how to tell if you're in it in the huddle. So just know that this is a much deeper conversation than 1 + 1 = 2. And the reason why I think it's important to talk about these myths is because when we simplify things, and there's a real desire to do that, to make it easy to talk about, but when we simplify things, these 3 myths that I just went over really are just reiterating that old idea that if you want to be successful, you need to be like other successful people. You need to do what they do. So, it's kind of like, before we understand BG5, we're saying, well, we'll look at that person and we won't take into their consideration their design at all. But then if we get into BG5 and say, well, all express builders can be successful in the same way, that's also not true. Success is a result of living your specific uniqueness in your design. And there's no one single right way to be an express builder. Your right way is your design with all of the nuances in it. So we're all beautifully unique. And part of this journey of living our design is learning how to trust ourselves and trust our design. So everything comes back to living your design and living your uniqueness. So knowing whether something is correct for you or a result of conditioning, whether that's conditioning you got before you ever heard of human design, or it's conditioning you picked up while studying human design, is really important. And the ways that you can build your trust in your design and in yourself is, of course, through living the experiment. Go out, experiment with your design, becoming aware of your body's natural intelligence, learning about the backseat driver. And this is something else we're going to talk about in the huddle, a great explanation of how our backseat driver can take us off course and how to recognize when it's in control so we don't let that happen. And also connecting and sharing with other express builders. And again, that's where this connection huddle comes into, is like, let's hear the real life stories of people and how those nuances show up, so we get a deep appreciation for the richness of what it means to be an express builder, and we don't just put us all in a singular bucket. So between now and the huddle, one of the things that we wanted to give you a little assignment kind of to prepare you, to prep you for this conversation we're going to have, and an observational experiment for you to practice with. So over the next few days, and then over the week till the second session of our huddle, we want you to notice how being an express builder uniquely influences you at work, in your leadership, with your team, in your business or your social communities. And really notice, particularly if you are aware of people in your family or in your coworkers or your friends who are also express builders, really start paying attention and noticing the similarities and the differences between you and the other express builders that you know, and soak in that richness and bring it with you so that we can have great conversations when we meet in the huddle.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Stacy. And I'm going to pass it over to Chris to walk us through the Express Builders Huddle, the sessions we're going to start next on Friday.
So let's look at some of the logistics and the details of the sessions and what you get if you join us. So the first thing to know is that there are 2 live virtual sessions with the 3 of us to deepen your understanding of your own unique Express Builder nature, from using our responsive energy to decision making, to looking at the pitfalls, the traps, looking at the initiator trap itself, and so much more. So those are 2 sessions over 2 weeks. We're also going to be providing a private sessions portal to safely share your experiences, connect with other Express builders, discuss those session insights that we have, download the session content, revisit the recordings, and so much more as we add to the portal as we go. So what we're going to be really exploring are the keys to success, the first 4 keys, because everything after that becomes nuanced and detailed and is really much more appropriate for individual client work or possibly even team building types of conversations. But so really the keys to success, where we really need to focus in on our career type, interaction strategy, personal decision-making strategy, and the key indicators. And so really exploring those in ways that we haven't looked at before and looking at it from unique angles and in a deeper context, this is really where we're going to be exploring. So session 1, the first conversation we're going to explore is the key qualities of being and living as an Express builder through your career type. We're going to really explore how you individually express yourself in the world. And we will also contrast the different ways that being an Express builder shows up in our unique designs, much like we've already talked about that there are 8 different types of builders or variations. So you want to be prepared to hear others, real life stories, and to also share yours when it's really correct for you to do so. There's going to be multiple ways that we can do this in the session. The second part of that first session, we're going to be looking at discovering the gift of responsive energy and the real reason why Express builders really need to wait to respond. We're going to be looking at your style of communication and how that interacts with other people for maximum impact. And what does that really mean for you individually? We're going to look at those key signposts that keep us on the true self track at work and in life. Plus, between sessions 1 and 2, you will have an observational experiment similar to the one Stacy described, but with a little more depth, so we can be prepared for the second session of conversations. So session 2 starts off with the third conversation we're going to explore. This is about revealing our key pitfalls and your own personal initiator traps as an Express builder. So we're going to go deep here, looking at how do you actually have an initiator trap in your life, because not all of us as Express builders have the same kind of initiator traps. Whoa. So we're going to be exploring the different ways that Express builders manifest pitfalls in their design and how you do it in real life. We really want to dig deep to know what's really your trap. How does it play out for you, and maybe why some of those situations happen? So the initiator trap itself, this is where we find out what that is and how Ra, the founder of Human Design, described it and how to avoid it. Really fascinating take that he has on this as well. And then finally, the fourth conversation in session 2 that we'll have is the perspective shift that's required to live powerfully as an Express builder and align your decision-making strategy. This is really about mastering the art of confident and correct decision-making, which is truly our secret sauce as Express builders. We're going to dig deep and we're going to go wide here on exploring to look at the biases and the truths of our decision making. Did you know that we have biases inherent in how we see our own decision making strategies and those of others that are the same style? We're going to look at that in this particular conversation, and to just realize that the decision making strategy unleashes everything. Everything. So it's really potent. So each conversation will also have a dedicated conversation reflection aspect. We're going to have conversation reflections in breakout groups for each topic. So you'll be exploring in a small group with other participants. This gives everyone a chance to share their voice, share their perspective, be heard, and really connect with other Express builders in a very intimate setting. So, it's not like a big group that just you stay in the big group and maybe you get a chance to share. This is giving everybody a chance to share their experiences for each of these 4 conversations. And you'll apply the content to your life, and you'll hear real life experiences, and then come back to the bigger group to debrief, and then even build more synergy with that conversation with everyone else's group perspectives. It's going to be fascinating in that way.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a really great opportunity to share. That's where the real juice is, I find, is when we get to connect with each other. So what makes the BG5 Solutions Connection Huddle unique? As I was mentioning earlier, BG5 consultants are the only human design experts trained in the application of human design for career and business. As I mentioned, we're seeing a lot of people out there with human design training trying to apply it to business, but they're missing the information that we learn as BG5 consultants. We understand as consultants how your design operates best as an individual and as a team member. We have different layers of information we can go into that don't exist in the human design side of things. They are extrapolated from there, but there's a specific focus on them for career and business. The connection huddles are really geared towards that connection and sharing, spending time with other people on their human design journey, sharing your experiences and asking questions in that safe space, as Chris was talking about. The connection huddle also provides time and space to dive deep into the experience of being an Express builder, so you can all enjoy the similarities and the differences. And as I was saying, that's what we really noticed when we did this with the initiators, is the magic that came out just in those conversations was palpable. It was amazing. And you end up gaining a real true appreciation for the subtle differences that make you uniquely you and make each of us uniquely us. And that was what I was in awe of when I participated with the initiators. I literally came to understand initiators at a whole nother level that I didn't get before. So this Express Builder Huddle is for you if you're new to this career-based human design information. Maybe you just found out you're an Express Builder and you're confused and want to know more. This is a great place to explore that for you. Even if you've got some experience living as an Express Builder, if you've had a career overview or had a report, or you've been living your design for a while, this is a great place for you to reflect on your design in these sessions and share with others. If you're a consultant or a human design professional, sometimes it's really great just to revisit the basics with people at all levels who are sharing their wisdom and expertise, and really creates a great atmosphere for that sharing. If you're leading a team or a business, if you're an Express Builder yourself who leads a team, or if you don't even know if you're an Express Builder, you can get your chart and find out, and then come and learn more about what that means for you as a leader. And it also will help you understand that your people may do things very differently than the way you do them. And this brings awareness to that, and then how to understand how people do it differently and how to make the most of that in the teams you're managing or leading. Or if you want to bring a friend who's an Express Builder also, and the two of you want to explore together how this works in each of your designs and how you can see each other's uniqueness, that's also a really fun way to do it. And we have an opportunity for you for that sharing. Chris will tell you about in a minute here. All you need is a willingness as an Express Builder to come and explore and share, and that will create a great experience for everyone. So I'm going to pass it back to Chris and let him tell you the details of how you can join us for this.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap this up by showing you what to do to get joined into the Express Builder Huddle. The first thing to know is there is a link at the top, bg5solutions.com/eb-keys, where you can actually go and click on the Register Today button. And when you do that, what you'll see is
Click, there we go.
you'll see this welcome page that actually goes through the details. The first thing you'll notice is, like Shelley and Stacy already shared, we do have 2 exclusive sessions that are coming up, February 16th and the 23rd, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific time. That's 1700 UTC. Then on the right-hand side is the button to enroll. It is early bird through today. We are giving $50 off the regular price of $297, making it $247. So when you do click the enroll button, the next thing that you'll see is the sign up page. And in the sign up page, you can enter your information that you'd like to register with, or if you already have an account with us, you can simply log in. And then down below, you enter the payment information. And, once you click buy, you'll be given instant access, not only by email, you'll get this wonderful welcome letter, but you'll also get the Start Now link so you can jump right into the portal and start to introduce yourself and go through the content of the portal. Now, if you do want to join with a friend, we do offer a Bring a Friend, Earn 10% affiliate link, so you can become one of our affiliates there. And even promote this to other people that you know in your community and earn a small commission from this. So for Express Builders, we'd love to have you join us. You can always learn more and register at bg5solutions.com/eb-keys. And I hope this has inspired you. We look forward to your participation, and I hope to see you in the Express Builders Huddle.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris and Stacy and Valerie, for joining us. I wonder if you've got any questions for us about this, Valerie, or any kind of feedback. Anything you thought we might have missed or left out?
No, this was wonderful. I don't have any questions, but I really got a lot out of those myths and answering those. Even as a BG5 consultant, it's interesting to see, those myths, that even I didn't even realize how much I was aware of those too, and hadn't really thought about them until you put them at the forefront here. And yeah, it's so true. Some of those was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you hear, through all the different boards and things that you look at, all these, all the information out there about what's true versus not true, or everyone's take on what it means to be an express builder or manifesting generator and all of those. So I think, being able to answer those was super insightful. I got a lot out of those. Thank you for sharing all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us too. It was really great to have you here, and really enjoyed connecting with you again. And I hope if this is something you're interested in, that you'll join us on Friday and maybe spread the word to anybody else who's an express builder.